They have gathered here from the four corners of the earth. 55 warships, including some of the newest and most sophisticated ever produced. The United States is here, along with Great Britain, India, Japan, Canada, France, Australia, Germany, 26 nations in total. Each will display the latest naval technology from its arsenal. 22,000 men and women will be tested over the coming month across a vast expanse of ocean that spans thousands of square miles. At the center of this operation, and serving as its flagship, is a nuclear-powered supercarrier, a marvel of modern engineering. This exercise is called Rim of the Pacific, the world's largest and most complex naval drill. It will be as close to real warfare as peaceful training can allow. They first appeared nearly 5,000 years ago in the Mediterranean Sea. They were the largest and most glorious moving objects known to humanity. Powered by oars, their tactics were straightforward, ramming and sinking enemy vessels. Soldiers on board carried only bows, arrows, and spears, yet epic battles ensued, raging for weeks. Losses of hundreds of ships and thousands of men were common. For centuries thereafter, navies with the best-trained crews, the bravest commanders, and the mightiest warships would rule the seas. The modern supercarrier can remain at sea for months at a time, housing over 5,000 personnel, essentially a floating city. All right, Con, let's go 360, make it 15 knots. We need to get in the box on time. The captain belongs to an elite group with more than 25 years of naval aviation experience. Territorial waters are just over there, right? Let the helos know they're only 8 miles to the east. Thanks. Okay, Helm, left your course 15. I'm running off my rudder, left 2 degrees, committed force 175. 92 fixed-wing aircraft and helicopters are ready for a month of intense flight ops, as demanding as combat itself. Those wearing green shirts maintain airframes and engines. Red shirts handle ammunition and weapons. You think of Popeye, you think of a really strong U.S. sailor, someone you want to emulate. He's still a role model for us today. Purple shirts, also called grapes, fuel the aircraft. Aircrew, now manning up for the event. Case 3 launch, Case 3 recovery. Temperatures 68 degrees, altimeter 29906, density altitude 940 feet. On the flight deck, crews search for anything that could be sucked into an engine during takeoff. Pilots have been killed by tiny, nearly invisible objects like nuts and bolts. Nuclear-powered carriers possess almost limitless range, like the great sailing ships of centuries past. 200 years ago, sail-driven galleons boasting 100 guns ruled the high seas, fighting battles like Trafalgar. The French and Spanish, led by Napoleon, were thought invincible. Yet British commander Horatio Nelson devised innovative tactics and attacked fiercely. Cannonballs, fired at close range, caused devastating losses. Nearly 8,000 sailors died on both sides. The French and Spanish lost 22 ships, while the British lost none. Although Nelson was killed, he became a legend, as did his flagship victory. From the triumph at Trafalgar grew a worldwide British Empire that endured for another century. Maintaining control of the seas demands mastery of the finest technology. Deep within the carrier are 2 uranium-fueled nuclear reactors, essentially miniature suns. These radioactive furnaces heat water into high-pressure steam that powers giant turbines. The ship's 8 electric generators could easily power a city of 100,000 people. Using massive reduction gears, the turbines also drive 4 enormous propeller shafts, moving the carrier at roughly 35 knots. Its top speed is classified. With proper maintenance, the reactors can run without refueling for up to 20 years. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Teamwork, cooperation, camaraderie, staying mentally and physically fit are all vital to running a ship smoothly. Every one of the 5-2-12 personnel plays a critical role in its success. No detail is overlooked. Blue shirts position and secure aircraft on the flight deck, ensuring they launch in the correct order. Training has been ongoing since the first carriers were deployed over a century ago. Admiral Miner, the battle group commander, oversees coordination among all 26 nations during the exercise. Yeah, that's true. I mean, we had ships from different nations. Communication and diplomacy weren't the strong points of legendary admirals, but in a modern, intricate, and lethal world, they're essential. They want to join us and let their navies shine. You are on my track, sir. The previously reported contacts are now on our port bow, drawing left and then maintaining course. Okay, I think we'll come a bit more starboard, clear the fog. Let's push through at speed 29, so the Japanese ships are on the starboard side, and the Canadians are coming up astern, correct? Yes, sir. As flagship, the carrier must arrange 55 vessels from around the globe into a coherent formation, then sail in relative unity. Such international collaboration would have been unthinkable just a century ago. By the start of the 20th century, the colossal guns of dreadnoughts, battleships, far exceeded those at Trafalgar. Early in World War I, Britain's fleet outclassed Germany's in size and guns, so they didn't expect a serious challenge. Yet in June 1916, 250 British and German ships collided off the coast of Jutland in the North Sea in what became the greatest battleship duel ever. 14 British and 11 German ships were lost, with 8,500 men killed. The era of the battleship ended in under 2 hours of combat. Modern defense systems evolve at breakneck speed, raising doubts about costly new acquisitions and questioning old doctrines. You can try this. The aim of RIM of the Pacific, in part, is to test and integrate the latest weapons technology, giving crews a chance to sharpen their skills under near-battle conditions. Even operating an aircraft carrier comes close to real combat danger, and everyone on board is mindful of that. Modern fighters like the FA-18 Super Hornet can lock onto and engage enemy aircraft well before visually confirming them. However, they still carry machine guns, relics that might appear from the era of World War I biplanes, because pilots must be ready for the unlikely scenario of an old-fashioned dogfight. Launching a 37,000-pound FA-18 Super Hornet off a carrier looks routine, but bad weather, enemy fire, and mishaps all pose real threats. After a century of experimentation, one launch system has proven both sturdy and effective. Below deck, high-pressure steam accumulates in tanks fed by nuclear-powered boilers. This steam triggers pistons running through 300-foot catapult tubes, like shells in a cannon's barrel. When released, the piston's energy hurls the jet from 0 to 160 miles per hour in just 3 seconds, subjecting the pilot to 4 Gs. Hands up on the line, going around. Hands up. Every roll on board is essential to the synchronized ballet of launching and recovering. Come on, air horn, and that'll be 8.7. You do better than I do, I like you. Though steam catapult takeoffs thrill the crowd, for pilots a safe landing is just as exhilarating. An aircraft's tailhook must catch one of 4 arresting wires. Each cable, woven through 900 feet within the carrier, connects to an arresting engine. As the plane's momentum tightens the cable, a massive piston pressurizes hydraulic fluid, pushing against air until it reaches 400 pounds per square inch, halting the jet in 2 seconds flat. That tug of the cable is seen by pilots as one of the most glorious moments in flying. Japanese ships on the starboard side. The Normandy is up ahead, looking good. Where's that submarine? Always the submarine. Its might lies in stealth, annoying allies and devastating foes alike. Also participating in RIMPAC is the new Virginia-class submarine. It's 377 feet long, 34 feet wide, and can exceed 25 knots, possibly over 30. Crew numbers 120 enlisted plus 14 officers. Its nuclear drive generates 40,000 horsepower. A modern nuclear sub can remain submerged almost indefinitely, like a carrier, limited mainly by food stores. It makes its own fresh water for drinking and showers. I understand your point, but we can't risk attacking a neutral country. It can fire Mark 48 torpedoes, tactical tomahawks, harpoon missiles, and the cutting-edge advanced mobile mine. In water over 1,000 feet deep, the sub finds a protective blanket, defending carriers and other surface ships above. Like the great warships of old, navies can't afford to lose these subs in actual combat. Despite the dreadful losses sustained by the Germans and British at Jutland, battleships persisted into World War II, larger and more formidable than ever. Captivated by the image of big guns, Adolf Hitler built formidable battleships like Tirpitz and Bismarck, believing them unbeatable, much like Nazi Germany. The cruiser Norfolk located the Bismarck before a clash with the HMS Hood, shadowing the German battleship like a blood moon. Planes damaged the Bismarck's rudder, leaving her crippled. She was then pummeled by 2,800 shells from British warships, before being scuttled by her own crew. 2,100 German sailors perished. As the battleship era waned, the aircraft carrier's age dawned. Each RIMPAC features emerging innovations like the F-35, a fifth-generation strike fighter. Since World War II, radar has grown to detect hostile aircraft from afar. Modern radar can lock on and dispatch missiles over the horizon well before visual contact. Much of the F-35's innovation centers on evading radar through stealth. Its multiple layers of exterior coatings absorb radar waves, preventing them from bouncing back to enemy arrays. Its engine intakes and exhaust are engineered to redirect and hide heat signatures, foiling infrared-guided missiles. The F-35 can haul over 15,000 pounds of armaments on external pylons, or 5,000 pounds internally, for a minimal radar profile. The U.S. Marine variant, F-35B, boasts more than 40,000 pounds of thrust, the highest of any fighter engine in history. BRB 7 to 7704, airborne until 4:30, 3 hours. We have that traffic, you are cleared. The Navy's version is the F-35C, built for carrier operations. Its broader wings have foldable tips, and the landing gear is reinforced for catapult launches and deck landings. 412, Part 2, we copy. Red Crown, we might have 3 or more inbound. The pilot's helmet projects crucial data no matter where they look. Its distributed aperture system, DAS, comprising 6 electro-optical sensors, furnishes the pilot with a remarkable 360-degree view. Level 2 to 50, marking bomb. The pilot can effectively see through the jet itself, with all important information displayed on the helmet visor for swift, coordinated reactions. Its missile warning system registers even subtle heat differences on the horizon. 973, heading 270, altitude 25,000. Confirm. The new fighter shares data seamlessly with other F-35s, allied aircraft, and command hubs on land or sea. The onboard computer can even categorize enemy planes by type and nationality and suggest the best weapon to deploy. Its sensors might detect a whale, or more crucially, a surfacing submarine. In the early days of submarine warfare, British admirals deemed subs dishonorable, the weapons of cowards who refused surface combat. Germany's stealthy, advanced submarines were seen by some as battleships of the future. In the opening stages of World War II, they held a deadly edge in the North Atlantic, sinking countless unprotected cargo ships and strangling Allied supply lines. In a desperate response, hundreds of small corvettes were rapidly constructed. Patterned after fishing vessels, they were inexpensive and straightforward. Their teenaged novice crews operated the Navy's smallest guns. Still, day and night, they opposed the grim realities of submarine warfare, straining to safeguard merchant sailors. The combined force of British, American, and Canadian sea and air power slowly thwarted the German U-boat offensive. They destroyed 700 submarines, turning the tide of the most extensive naval conflict in world history. Early submariners were hampered by poor situational awareness, like blind mice in a cavern. They knew very little of what surrounded them. The Virginia class, however, employs an advanced electronic periscope and an array of sensors, giving crews comprehensive knowledge of friend and foe. Maritime interdiction, gunnery practice, missile launches, anti-submarine drills, mine clearing, air defense, amphibious assaults. They all rely on methodical planning and plenty of trial and error. Emerging weapon systems aim to merge international navies, armies, and air forces into one cohesive fighting force. Sophisticated electronic warfare units can identify allies from enemies in detail, jam hostile signals, and provide an electronic shield to hide vulnerable friendly forces. C-41, Lightning 7, heading 345, switch is hot. Clear to fire upon condition. 973 kills Season 1, 330 speed. Confirm the target is outside territorial waters. 321, go. Cleared to release. 97 star 1, fire away. Watch 3. Cleared hot. Lightning 7-3, off safe. 1 away. A gunfight 1 minute can, in an instant, turn into a life-or-death struggle of another kind. For millennia, sailors have dreaded tempestuous seas as much as enemy fire. RIMPAC demonstrates the wide-ranging missions modern navies face: terrorism, piracy, earthquakes, fires, hurricanes, and humanitarian crises. Services that once competed, navies, National Guards, Air Forces, Coast Guards, Marines, now train together. Only a short time ago, war games carried far higher stakes. Lives could be lost in large numbers. December 7, 1941. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval air. After the strike on Pearl Harbor, Japan gambled it could lure U.S. carriers into a trap near Midway, but the Americans had cracked Japan's code and were ready. Keep an eye on these guys. See what's going on. U.S. pilots, aware they lacked the fuel to return, still gambled on finding the Japanese fleet, and find them they did. They destroyed 3 Japanese carriers in 8 minutes. By the end of the day, 4 Japanese carriers and 1 heavy cruiser had been sunk, with 3,000 Japanese sailors lost. America lost only the Yorktown. Few U.S. aircraft made it back to their carriers. The Battle of Midway was a turning point in the Pacific, sealing Japan's fate. It remains the greatest victory in American naval history. War or no war, landing a fighter jet on a carrier remains the most difficult and revered feat in aviation. The landing safety officer, LSO, a fellow pilot, provides precise guidance and extra confidence at the critical moment. 327, 2 miles. 327 on glide path. Roger Ball. The F-35B variant bypasses catapults and arrestor cables. It can operate in a far wider range of environments, a strategic edge in virtually any conflict. 2 drill lock, hook down, harness locked, FO checks. Like all new weapons, its purpose is to give a clear advantage over potential adversaries. 3. Lightning Ball, 2-4, auto, Roger Ball, auto. Ultimately, modern navies seek the most effective arms, tactics, and training as a deterrent, hoping to avoid outright war. Most captains will tell you their greatest priority is bringing every crew member home alive. They are young, hard-working people who risk their lives for months on end with little recognition, doing it for their families, communities, and countries. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Hi, everyone back in Glenarm, Maryland, a little town most folks haven't heard of. A shout out to my family in Texas. Hey, everyone in San Jose, stay warm up in Michigan. Salt Lake City, Utah. Love you guys. Mom, Dad, I love you. Texas forever. From the great naval battles of history, entire civilizations have risen and fallen. Yet at RIMPAC, there is more firepower afloat than all the munitions ever used in all the world's wars combined. The true objective of modern navies is to prevent war, because if another global conflict erupts, there might be nothing left to return to. No romantic paintings or writers to glorify victory. After 4,000 years of naval warfare, we have little choice but to sail together, work for peace, and ensure everyone comes home safely to their families.